So since Xenotrunks vs. Archie Silver is coming out tomorrow, at least that's when I hope I can get this video out, I thought I might pass the time by rewatching the DBX and 1 Minute Melee of the matchup. This is one of the few times where a matchup has been featured across these 3 versus shows, so I just felt, why not? Might as well see how these two stack up all these years later. I'll go ahead and start with the 1 Minute Melee, as that one came out a few months before the DBX. And remember how I said I'm bad at writing intros? Well, that especially applies here, as I do not know what to say for this one, so let's just get into it. 1 Minute Melee. A show I have a ton of respect for. The idea of having every single fight settle in 1 minute is such a cool idea, and I really want to review more episodes of the show one day. But what do I think of Trunks vs. Silver? Well, let's see. The animation starts with Silver traveling through time, which allows for their biggest connection to be utilized as we see him looking for Shadow, which was not only a way to have their worlds feel like they collided, but it is also a foreshadowing to another episode, Vegeta vs. Shadow, which also happened on Death Battle. That was a really cool idea. Heck, we even see them fighting first thing in the animation. And that exact shot was even put into the episode. I don't know if they planned that or decided to make it an episode after this one came out, but either way, I really like what they did with it. Trunks is seen looking for Silver as he thinks he's an android, and we get a really neat scene of Trunks teleporting behind Silver as she tries to sneak attack him, but Silver deflects the sword. That was a pretty cool scene that I really enjoy. Then that is when the track kicks in. Save the Future is a really neat listen. It's overall just a good track that fits the fight and characters. Don't really have much to say on it. I just think it's a nice listen. Also, it was made by Brandon Yates, so that makes it an automatic banger. The fight actually starts and Trunks combos Silver a few times, even hitting him with a blast that not only lands, but also is able to give Trunks his sword back. I personally think that was a really clever inclusion. I also like how Silver tricks Trunks by making him think that he sliced him, only for Trunks to find out that it was actually just a rock. And then the way that Silver then uses the bits of the stone to attack Trunks was a really creative and fun way of using the environment. And then after that, Silver then throws a tree trunk at Trunks. Wait. Which he blocks and it stays there on the ground, and then after some more hits from Silver, he uses the tree again to knock back Trunks. This fight is just filled with so much creativity. I love it. We then get a cool scene of Silver dropping a giant piece of stone on Trunks as he slices it in half over and over again. I also find it funny how when Trunks destroys the piece of stone outright, he's just bonked in the head by another piece of rock. That was a nice little bit of humor there. But it is also followed by a really neat looking hand-drawn shot. I really like the scene where Trunks powers through Silver's psychokinesis to show the difference in power. And I like the finishing blow where Trunks spawns the key sword, at least I think it's his key sword, and strikes him with the key blast and blade. That was a really cool way to end the fight. We then end with another cameo from Vegeta and Shadow, and more plot for the arc, and yeah, that's Trunks vs. Silver 1 Minute Melee for ya. A lot happened for only 1 minute of fighting. That's why I love 1 Minute Melee. Silver did kind of say it's no use way too many times, but I'm not that bothered by it. He only does that for one scene, and it's not really that big a deal. I don't really have any other big problems with it otherwise. Anyways, now on to the DBX.
Okay, so Google Maps said the Denny's would be just around this corner.
Gonna be honest, I don't have a lot to say on this one. It's a pretty average stereotypical versus animation. It's obviously still good, but I just don't really ever see myself rewatching this. It's kind of like a been there, done that kind of thing. So instead of going too in depth, I'll just go over some moments that stood out to me. I like that Silver starts out in his base form getting absolutely beaten, and then transforms into Super Silver to even out the playing field against Super Saiyan Trunks. I love the part where Silver fires a bunch of pointy rocks at Trunks and makes them follow him in a trail wherever Trunks goes, so Trunks leads them into Silver to counterattack. That was a really neat and creative scene right there, to be honest. We also get a nicely animated shot of Silver looking upon it, and also a pretty cool shot of Trunks flying, which I'm 90% sure is just a PNG with some sprinkled effects on it. I like how Silver uses the iconic Sonic Spring to stop his fall. That was pretty clever. I don't really know what's happening in this shot here. The combo is pretty good, and the death is fine. That's about all I got for you. My only real problem is that I don't really like the Silver sprites. It really clashes with Trunks's, and it looks like Silver has a massive unibrow at times, but overall it's pretty solid. And there you go. That's the two major Trunks vs. Silver fights out of the way before the big death battle tomorrow. Again, if I can get this video out on time. Out of them both, I prefer the 1 minute melee. That isn't to discredit the DBX though, it's still really solid. It's just, I think the 1 minute melee has a bit more character to it. Anyways, now it's time to just kick back and wait for the death battle. I'm personally still betting on Trunks, but I will not be surprised in the slightest if Silver wins. I guess we'll just have to find out. I am so excited.
I'm gonna take you out and save the world!
Good luck with that, I have weed. See ya.
Oh.